Hi there, thanks for joining us for this late edition of ViuTV News. I'm Patrick Falk. Coming up, $50 million cocaine haul seized at luxury Yuen Long apartment. The suspects tried to hide the smell with perfume. Hong Kong's football fans are put on notice. The new national anthem law could be applied retroactively. Plus, hundreds of Philippine activists protest against Donald Trump as the US president makes his way to Manila for the ASEAN summit. Okay, we begin tonight with a record drugs bust here in Hong Kong. Police have seized more than $50 million worth of crack cocaine, the biggest haul of illicit substances in a decade. Officers raided an apartment in Yuen Long Friday, arresting 4 people. They confiscated 10 kilograms of drugs as well as raw material and chemicals that could produce up to 50 kilograms of crack cocaine. A spokesperson for the police said it was rare to find drug manufacturing going on in such a luxurious flat, adding that the suspects had apparently tried to cover the smell by using strong perfume. Among the 4 arrested, 3 were believed to be Hong Kong triads, while the other was possibly from Peru, where the raw materials are thought to be shipped from. Well, Hong Kong police had worse luck in arresting 2 men for possessing firearms when they discovered the weapons were actually toys. Officers had staged a large-scale operation last night after getting reports of an armed robbery in Prince Edward. Police swarmed the area in helmets and bulletproof vests just to find out that the robbers were actually advertising company employees filming a movie and the guns weren't real. Further news on the national anthem law and a warning that it could be applied retroactively to football supporters who have booed the song at matches. The vice chairwoman of Beijing's Basic Law Committee, Elsie Leung, has said lawmakers have the right to impose it on transgressions that occurred before it was brought in. Leung, who's also a former Secretary for Justice, said the law shouldn't be applied retroactively, but warned if people disrespect the song on a large scale before it takes effect, action could be added. Leung's remarks come in the wake of booing of the national anthem by football fans on Thursday after Beijing announced plans to introduce the controversial law in Hong Kong. Turning to local politics, and Chief Secretary Matthew Cheung has said the government has no plans to look at LegCo rule changes early. Lawmakers are due to meet on December 6th to discuss proposed amendments to the Chamber's rules. There has been speculation that the government would postpone bills for that day in order to look at the rule changes more quickly. Cheung today denied this, but did acknowledge some rules were old and needed updating. Pro-democracy and pro-establishment lawmakers have formed a group to talk about rule changes before the official meeting.
I think it's more of a show of our sincerity in creating a platform that we can discuss the matter outside of the regular meetings, council meetings, and so on, in terms of trying to make sure that the rules of procedure changes proposed by the pro-establishment will not be able to be put up to the council. We want to make sure that that will not happen soon, and that goal hasn't changed.
Meanwhile, Cheung tried to soothe worries that some Filipino domestic helpers may not be able to stay in Hong Kong. The Filipino government has announced it would temporarily stop accepting applications to go overseas starting from tomorrow. That's pending an investigation into recruitment agencies. The order is likely to delay the arrival of several thousand newly hired domestic helpers. Cheung said if they are unable to arrive in time to replace those who are leaving, the Immigration Department may consider extending the visas of those due to depart. Now, Raymond Tam has promised to push for political reform if he's elected as the local deputy to the National People's Congress. Tam announced his candidature in September, but has now said he will strongly advocate for the wishes of Hong Kong people to see political change to the way it's governed. The former Secretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs has also said he will work hard to garner support from the Pan-Democrats. The Pan-Democracy camp, however, had earlier said that they would not participate in the election following a change in rules that requires candidates to support the Constitution and Basic Law. Well, US President Donald Trump has landed in the Philippines for the last leg of his Asian tour. There, he'll be meeting with leaders of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. Prior to his landing, riot police used water cannon to prevent hundreds of people from protesting at the US Embassy in Manila. Holding Dump Trump placards, authorities showered protesters with jets of water. But the protests didn't affect Trump's arrival. The president was greeted by Philippine officials at Clark Airport this evening. He then met with Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte during the gala dinner marking ASEAN's 50th anniversary. Well, earlier, President Duterte waded into the South China Sea dispute, saying the issue is better left untouched. It comes after Trump today said he was prepared to mediate in the dispute before leaving Vietnam for the Philippines. Leaders at the Philippine summit will discuss the South China Sea, but mainly to agree on a procedural step to cool tensions. 4 Southeast Asian countries and Taiwan contest China's sweeping claims to the busy waterway.
The other hotheads would like us to confront China and the rest of the world for so many issues. The South China Sea is better left untouched. Nobody can afford to go to war. Either the big powers, Russia, China, Britain, or the United States. It can ill afford a violent confrontation.
Meanwhile, Trump continues to muddy the waters over the perception of his relationship with Vladimir Putin. The pair didn't hold any formal meeting at the APEC summits they both attended in Vietnam, but did greet each other warmly on the few times they saw each other. Ryan Brooks has more.
Donald Trump backing away from previous doubts on Russian election meddling Sunday, just a day after he met with Russian President Vladimir Putin and seemed to suggest he believed Putin's denials that Russia tried to sway the election in Trump's favor. Those remarks sparked a backlash at home as U.S. intelligence has long concluded Russia did interfere. But Trump tried to clear the air talking to reporters in Vietnam, saying he sides with American agencies and stressed he doesn't accept Putin's word at face value.
I believe that President Putin really feels, and he feels strongly, that he did not meddle in our election. What he believes is what he believes. I'm with our agencies, especially as currently constituted with their leadership.
Trump also said he wasn't interested in arguing with Putin over the issue and wants to move on with Russia to work on big international problems, including North Korea, Syria, and Ukraine. While Trump is on a 5-country Asia tour, at home ever-expanding Russia probes by special counsel Robert Mueller and in both chambers of Congress march on, with indictments for ex-campaign manager Paul Manafort and his deputy Rick Gates under Mueller's investigation. Trump has called allegations his campaign colluded with Moscow a hoax.
Well, Trump's also been drawn into a Twitter spat with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Trump said in a tweet today that Kim had insulted him by calling him old, adding that he would never call Kim short and fat. He also said he was trying to be his friend. In September, Kim described Trump as a mentally deranged U.S. dotard whom he would tame with fire. That was after Trump threatened in his maiden United Nations address to totally destroy North Korea and described Kim as Little Rocket Man. Up next, latest from the world of business. Hong Kong can look forward to better market access to Southeast Asia after the SAR signed a free trade and investment agreement with ASEAN. It's the first free trade deal signed by the regional bloc in almost a decade. Secretary of Commerce and Economic Development Edward Yao said the move would boost economic and trade activities between the two and greatly enhance business opportunities on both sides. The agreements come following 3 years of talks and will come into force at the start of 2019, subject to the completion of necessary procedures. Well, let's take a look now at what investors will be keeping an eye on this week. And the tech sector is very much in focus. On Monday, e-commerce firm JD.com releases its third quarter earnings. Alibaba's online retail rival had stellar second quarter revenue growth of 43.6%, although some analysts aren't sure if the rapid rise in pure e-commerce can be sustained. Investors will also be paying very close attention on Wednesday to Tencent's third-quarter earnings. Thursday, meanwhile, sees Tencent-backed car retailing platform Yixin Group debut on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Yixin's attracted strong interest from investors who will be hoping that the Tencent touch will boost its performance following the eye-popping listing of China Literature last week. On the economic front, Hong Kong releases quarterly unemployment figures on Thursday as well, and we'll be getting a look at China's monthly home prices indexes for 70 major cities on Saturday. Well, if Singles Day is anything to go by, the rapid rise of e-commerce certainly does have legs to run, despite what some analysts may believe. That's after Alibaba smashed its own sales record for the festival and cemented it as the world's biggest shopping event. Ryan Brooks has the details.
It's a one-day shopping frenzy that leaves Black Friday in the dust. Sales on Saturday's Singles Day in China hit more than $25 billion in 24 hours, an eye-popping figure that broke the event's previous records. The spending festival is led by Chinese e-commerce titan Alibaba, with users across the country hunting down bargains online and in stores, many of them snapping up deals from their phones.
This is our first time holding Singles Day on a weekend, on a Saturday, in today's wireless era. We have fully experienced in one day the changes in the way consumers live.
For years, Singles Day has racked up more sales than Black Friday and Cyber Monday combined. This year, after a star-studded event featuring Nicole Kidman and singer Pharrell Williams late Friday, the company said in just the first 2 minutes, pre-orders drove $1 billion of sales and $10 billion in just over an hour. Next comes a week of delivery blitz, with couriers and robots ready to move an estimated 1.5 billion packages.
Well, while Singles Day seems to get bigger every year in China, there was a sharp contrast in fortunes over in Cuba. Just 13 U.S. companies exhibited at this year's big trade fair in Havana, down from 30